Yo, what's up? My name is Patrouski, and I've been playing PokeMMO for over 10,000 hours, and I've played certain older storylines like Kanto 10 or 20 plus times. And I understand that the storylines in PokeMMO can be a big step up from traditional Pokemon and can be very difficult to get through, especially your first storyline in the game. Once you complete that first storyline, everything will get much easier. So I am here today to give you guys 5 tips to hopefully help you in your PokeMMO storylines. These are tips that I still use to this day whenever I play alt accounts to help me rush through regions. Now, these are just 5 quick tips, but if you're looking for more specific things, I have plenty of videos on my channel, like the top 5 Pokemon to beat PokeMMO, which are hopefully linked in the description. If not, you can yell at me in the comments, you get the pass, as well as things like top 5 items to use on your Pokemon to beat the storylines, etc, etc. Even what's the best region in PokeMMO, which is a power ranking of all the powerful regions, and my recommendation on what order to complete them in. There's so many resources nowadays on my channel. But I don't want to waste any more of your time. Let's get into these tips. It is important to note that these are going to be general tips that should be applicable in every single region, regardless of which one you are in. And tip number 1 is to battle every single trainer and even re-battle those trainers. A good example is over in Viridian Forest in Kanto. In traditional Pokemon, if you're playing red, blue, fire red, leaf green, whatever, you would skip as many trainers as possible and just try to get through the forest as quick as possible. This is not what I recommend in PokeMMO. This will get you behind on levels. The level curve is a bit harsher here. You want to battle every single trainer possible and then even go back 6 hours later. You can actually re-battle trainers every 6 hours. The reason why battling trainers is so important, number 1, that level curve that I just mentioned. Number 2 is something called the Trainer XP Boost, which is essentially, you can see in the bottom left-hand corner in my little chat log, you get more XP from Pokemon if you defeat them via trainers. You get something called the Trainer Battle Bonus. You can see here, I would have gotten 227 XP by defeating that Pokemon, but because a trainer had it, I actually gained like 50% more XP, which is a massive XP bonus. So battling trainers gets you far more XP than battling wild Pokemon for the most part during a storyline. You can get into like times 3 and times 5 hordes and beating those down for XP, but that's usually a bit more towards Victory Road and the ender part of the storyline or end game. Next up, tip number 2 is that setup moves are busted. If you can get off like 2 Dragon Dances against any gym leader, I don't care if it is a water gym leader or something that resists water very effectively, you can probably go ahead and sweep them and KO all of the Pokemon from there. Setting up things like Dragon Dances on Gyarados at low level 20s is very powerful. Things like Quiver Dance on Blossom, one of my favorite lower to get, easy to get storyline Pokemon to recommend to people. You can go catch an Oddish in many regions, evolve it into a Gloom, and then get yourself a Sunstone to evolve it into a Blossom. And this Pokemon gets Quiver Dance, one of the lowest level Quiver Dance Pokemon. If you don't know, Quiver Dance is a move that boosts your special attack, Spadef, and your speed all in one move. These are the kind of moves that don't deal any damage. So as a kid playing traditional Pokemon, you probably never used these and never learned them, but they are crucial in PokeMMO to sweeping storylines. A list of powerful setup moves to watch out for consists of Dragon Dance, Swords Dance, Nasty Plot, Quiver Dance. Own Claws can be not a bad option on things like Crocodile, etc, etc. It's going to depend a lot per Pokemon, but definitely a good list of moves to watch out for. Next up, tip number 3 is that X items are so freaking busted, as well as revives in PokeMMO. Now, keep in mind, you can only use 4 items per battle, and you have to plan that out pretty aggressively. But I do recommend, if you don't have access to something like a Dragon Dance Pokemon or a Quiver Dance Pokemon, falling back on X items can be a very relevant strategy. There were times where I needed to survive a few hits on my Gyarados to be able to get up those Dragon Dances, so I would use something like 2x defense or 2x special defenses, which, if you don't know, raise the stats of the Pokemon by 2 stages, which makes them significantly bulkier, or you can get X specials, which raise the attack damage. If you go ahead and, raise your bulk on your Gyarados, then you can set up 2 Dragon Dances, and now you're going to be like super bulky. You can potion him afterwards. Setting up multiple X defenses or X attacks or speeds or whatever you need to do, X items, and then hyper potioning afterwards, and that being like your 3 to 4 items, usually works out pretty well to set yourself up to sweep an entire fight. Revives are very powerful. The only downside is that these items are expensive. That is the hardest part. If you're in your first region, you may not have the Pokeyen to use on these items frivolously, so just be careful with how many of these you buy, but also don't be afraid to use revives in crucial fights against trainers. And make sure when you're using a revive to only use it on a Pokemon that you can either heal up enough after to make sure it can tank a hit, since revives only restore it to half HP, or revive those fast, speedier Pokemon that can actually get an attack off before being hit at that half HP and just killed again. Next up, tip number 4 is that sturdy Stealth Rock Pokemon are almost entirely free to use and will probably be the biggest game changer on this list, especially if you are just stuck against a specific gym leader or especially the Elite Four. This Pokemon is elite when it comes to the Elite Four. And the best part is you don't need to go get a whole new Pokemon and EV train it or XP train it up to level 50. I don't like when people say, hey, I'm stuck in the storylines. Do you have any advice to give me, Patrouski? And someone else says, oh yeah, just go get a level 50 Garchomp, like, you know, and then you can beat the storyline. Like, no, that's way too much work. You can do it for way less effort and way less time. You shouldn't have to reinvest your time into a whole new team just to beat the storyline runs. Use a sturdy Stealth Rock Pokemon. This is a Pokemon with the sturdy ability and then learns the Stealth Rock move. And what you do is you lead the fight with this Pokemon. It will survive one attack, almost always guaranteed, with that sturdy ability. Certain multi-hit moves like Dual Chop or Icicle Spear will get through this, and that's kind of just a risk you take, or like that happens sometimes, but the benefits you get from being able to set up Stealth Rocks every single fight is so good. If you don't know, Stealth Rocks are just a hazard type of move that it sets with the rocks on the opponents of the field, and every time they switch in a Pokemon, it takes damage. That doesn't sound that crazy, like, oh, a little bit of damage, but that little bit of damage does so many beautiful things. Number one, it breaks all focus sashes and it breaks all opposing sturdy Pokemon. That's a huge one. You run into a lot of focus sash and a lot of sturdy Pokemon in the storylines. Stealth Rocks breaks those, as well as it does damage based on typing. So if you picked Venusaur or Bulbasaur, or, you know, a grass type in your Kanto storyline or whatever storyline, and your opposition, your opponent, your rival has that fire type, Charizard gets chunked to 50% HP. He loses half of his HP when he switches into Stealth Rock. Dragonite, really powerful Pokemon that Gary often has, as well as Lance in the Kanto Elite Four, they lose 25% HP to this attack. And it may not sound like a lot, but that 25% HP loss usually puts you in range to now one-shot their Pokemon. And there's a big difference between 2-hit KO in your Pokemon and one-shotting. Stealth Rock allows you to one-shot so many Pokemon that would normally be a 2-hit KO, and now that prevents you from taking any damage in a lot of situations. I really cannot overhype and recommend like Stealth Rock enough. It is so little effort to go get one of these guys. You can go to any cave in almost any region. There are Geodudes all over the place, and I even recommend like a lower level one. It doesn't have to be a Geodude. Any Pokemon that has 30 and Stealth Rocks, like Unova wasn't on that list, for example. You could go get yourself a Boldore, which also has 30 and also can learn Stealth Rock, I believe, level 36, a little bit later in levels, to be fair. You could also go buy a Stealth Rock sturdy Pokemon off the GTL, and they will be incredibly cheap as long as you have at least 4 gym badges in one region. The way you would search for this is you would go over to your advanced search, go ahead and go over to has move Stealth Rock, and then go down to ability, which should be down here. Yep, sturdy, and then search, and just search for the cheapest option. You can get a sturdy Stealth Rock Pokemon for 3 to 4k. They don't have to be anything special. You can even buy this Rock and Roll that has a 31 IV and then sell it back later on as a 31 IV and get your money back. I use a sturdy Stealth Rock Pokemon against all of my Elite Fours in all of my storyline runs, and it is just so freaking powerful. And the next up, that brings us up to tip number 5, the final tip for this video. Pretty simple one that I've kind of already hinted at a few times, but use the GTL as soon as you can. Once you get 4 gym badges in your first region, you can use the GTL, and you should, man. A lot of people kind of forget to use it or are nervous and scared to use it. Understandably so. It's a big mechanic. It's a whole new thing. It's an open market in a Pokemon game. It looks overwhelming, doesn't it? But what I recommend when you get 4 badges is go ahead and get yourself some sort of Gyarados. I think Gyarados is the GOAT when it comes to beginner storyline Pokemon, because you can get yourself a Gyarados for very cheap. They're always cheap. People are always farming Magikarps. You want to look for one that is plus attack nature, but it does not need to be adamant. You can go naughty, lonely, or adamant, and then I would look for like 15 plus in the IVs. Like this one's 15k and it's also over leveled, a little pricey. What if we go back to Magikarps? What if you put a little bit of effort? Boom, there you go. As a new player, also, this was level 39. You can level this up once and turn it into a Gyarados. As a new player, I cannot recommend enough, guys. Go get yourself a naughty, lonely, or adamant Gyarados / Magikarp with 15 plus attack and speed. Ideally, like the higher the stats, the better. Like 20 plus if they're still cheap. Yeah, like if they're still cheap, go for this. But you don't even need that. You want to just be able to beat the storylines. You don't need to obliterate them, right? You need enough power to get through them and then unlock the rest of the game. Don't be afraid to buy Gyarados. Don't be afraid to buy powerful Pokemon. If your team ends up like super underleveled, right? Let's say your team is super underleveled and you just desperately need a level 42 Pokemon. All your mons are level 20 or whatever. You can just search minimum level 42, you know, get yourself a, look at this, a nice Crocodile here, Jolly Nature. Like this would be a fantastic 1,000 Pokeyen. Like that's cheaper than the Pokeballs it would cost you to go catch this in the wild. Like just make sure, biggest tip here, make sure not to buy over-leveled Pokemon that are over your max obedience level. Check your max obedience level. If your max obedience level is 42 and you were to buy this Krokorok that's level 49, you could not use it in battle. It would hit itself in confusion and KO itself. So you can use the max level. Let's say you want a max Pokemon level 42 and minimum level 40, let's say. You would do that search instead and give you a better option so you don't accidentally buy a Pokemon you can't even use and waste your Pokeyen. Alright, but that's my top 5 tips to make your PokeMMO storylines a bit easier, hopefully significantly easier in PokeMMO in the year 2025. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like it. That helps me out a lot. If not, if none of these tips got you through, dislike the video. I want you to do that. I want your genuine feedback. Subscribe to the channel for PokeMMO videos every single day. I do upload every single day because I love this game so damn much. And I also stream on Twitch, usually Monday through Thursday at 12 p.m. ET. Discord's down below if you're interested in that. And if you want to go above and beyond and support the channel, if my guides have helped your PokeMMO experience enough and it's worth it to you, YouTube memberships, Twitch primes, Twitch subs, PayPal and Venmo donations keep the lights on, allow me to do stuff like this. But most importantly, thank you guys for watching. Have a great day and enjoy PokeMMO. Yo, what's up? Outro Patrouski here, and I wanted to take this time to say thank you to everyone who goes above and beyond and supports my channel. Your names are all listed here. You make it possible for me to make helpful and mildly entertaining content for the game that I love and make it available for free for everyone to enjoy. Thank you so much for allowing me to even be here.